Hello class, welcome back to Cambrian digital class, and you're once again here to English language class. I'm your English teacher for today. My name is Wafa Choudhury. I'm a lecturer of Cambrian College, and today my topic is steps to writing well. Okay, so today we are going to discuss what we are going to do in order to write well in our class. So today's lecture is not only for the English language students who are willing to improve their writing skills. Today's lecture is also for the English language teachers who are willing to improve their students' writing skills in class. Okay? So before we choose our activities, what are the criteria for choosing the activities? Before we choose the activities, we should make sure that our activity should be motivating, stimulating, and interesting to do. So when you are choosing activities for students, or when a student is choosing an activity for practice, they should make sure that it is an activity that interests them. Okay? And if it is not interesting enough, what will happen? The students will not be willing to do that activity, right? If it is boring for them, they will not be willing to improve their writing skills. So teachers and students, when you are choosing your activity, make sure that it is interesting enough for you. Then the second criteria, it should be of the appropriate level. Okay? Is it adjustable to your level? So suppose if you are a beginner when you are learning a language, what level should you choose for your activity? Should you choose the advanced level? No, because if you are a beginner choosing the advanced level, it will be quite hard for you. And if it is quite hard for you, you will not be motivated, right? And also, teachers should make sure that the level is appropriate. For example, when they are giving activities to children, they should make sure that the activity is appropriate for the level of students in primary section. Okay? And the teacher should not give harder activities. Or if the teacher is teaching at advanced level students, then the teacher should make sure that the activity is not too much easy for them. If it is too easy for them, and the same reason that they will not be motivated enough to do the activity. So the level should be adjusted to the students. There are other levels too, such as intermediate level, advanced level, beginners level. Okay? So it should be relevant to the student's needs. For example, the student wants to improve their essay writing skills. So the teacher should give them an activity on essay writing. They can give different types of topics, different types of titles, different types of essays to write in class. For example, narrative, descriptive, argumentative, persuasive, or informative essay writing. And we are going to discuss this elaborately in our next slides. So what do the students need to improve in? There are other examples we can use. For example, if the student wants to improve in grammar, the student can practice more in grammar-related activities, and the teacher can also give them more exercises on grammar. Okay? So make sure what is it you need to improve. Which area do you need to improve? Okay? Then students should have previous knowledge. This is also important. For example, if a student is given an activity on summary writing, the student knows the rules of writing summary. So the student should be given enough knowledge before giving the activity to them. Then the student should understand the instructions too. So what are they writing? What should they write when they are given an activity? So the instructions should be appropriate. The students should be told what is expected of them in their writing task. Okay? So if they are informed properly, the student will do well in their writing, and the teacher will also be satisfied when they check the papers of the student. Okay? We're moving to the next slide. What is needed for writing? When you are beginning to write, first you should have the thinking skills. For example, when you are beginning to write, first you should brainstorm. Okay? That is, we should know how you're going to write, what are the elements you should include, and also, secondly, you should taking skills. Do you know how to make notes? If we are to write a final draft, we have to make notes, okay, of what we are going to write. And then third comes creativity. Are you creative enough? Of course, we have to be creative enough when we want to give our writing a good flow. Okay? Feel free to use your own creativity while writing. Okay? Then proofreading and editing. After you write, you have to revise for errors. Are there any mistakes in your writing? You have to revise, and if there are mistakes, you have to correct them. You have to edit them also. You need feedback. Okay? After you write, you can show your teacher for corrections, and your teacher can give you feedback. If after your teacher gives you feedback, you will know where you can improve. Okay? Let us move on to our next slide. What are the writing activities we can do in class? Or for teachers, what writing activities do you give to the students? At first, you can give them activity on writing instructions. Example, how to cook rice. You can tell them, give me some instructions on how to cook rice. Or suppose your friend doesn't know how to cook rice, give them an instruction. Give a writing activity. First, what we should do when we are cooking rice. Secondly, what we should do. Okay? And then another activity may be narrative writing. That is, narrating an incident or experience. It can be an essay writing. Okay? Here you are going to narrate your incident or experience. For example, journey by boat. Okay, this is a very common one. We can also give other titles in class too. And then another essay writing, another type of essay writing, descriptive writing. Suppose we can describe people, place, or process. Okay, we can also give picture description in class. That is one type of descriptive writing. Okay, another essay type, there are other essay types too. For example, argumentative, persuasive, or informative writing. Okay, here, in argumentative writing, you can argue about your own thoughts. In persuasive writing, you can persuade your readers. And in informative writing, you can give information to your readers. Here's an example. Where should old people live? Okay, you can argue with this topic, you can persuade, or you can give information. Okay? There are other writing activities too. For example, news report or book report. Okay, in news report, we can write a news. Okay, we can take a title and you can write a news about it in class. And in book report, we write something about a book. Another writing activity, lyrics or poem. Okay, you can write lyrics too. What is a lyric? Lyrics are the words of a song. When you're writing a song, you write your lyrics. Okay, and you can write poem too, short poem. Okay, you can use your creativity as much as you can when you are writing a poem. Another one is story or sentence completion. That means you can complete an unfinished story. Okay, in story writing also you need enough creativity to write, and you can use your own imaginations. Okay, for example, the beginning could be like this. While the girl was walking by the road, she saw someone faint. It was, and it's unfinished. So what you're going to do is you're going to finish it. Okay? And teachers can also give them a warm-up activity on it too, where they're going to discuss and then they can make a final draft. And then another common one, rearranging words, sentences, or paragraphs. When we are rearranging words, of course there will be jumbled words like this: rode, the, by, walked, girl, the. So here the teacher is going to tell the student to rearrange the words to make a complete sentence that makes sense. Okay? And we can also tell them to rearrange sentences or paragraphs. Okay? What about letter or application writing? These are common too. We can give them a letter, or we can tell their classmates to write letters to each other and respond to their classmates' letters. Or we can have them practice application writing in class. What about transformation of sentences? Okay, transformation of sentences, we usually do this in class too. For example, change from plurals to singulars, or change from past to present, or change from affirmative to negative. There are other forms transformation of sentences too. Okay? So when we are telling the student to change the sentences from plurals to singulars, the sentences are going to be in plural and they're going to change it into singular. In other cases, the sentences could be in past tense. They will be asked to write it in present tense. The sentences can be in affirmative and they can be asked to write it in negative form. Another writing activity can be summary writing. That means they are going to write the gist of what they read. Okay? They can be given a long article and they can be asked to shorten it. Okay? Just the important points are going to be mentioned in the summary writing in a paragraph. What about continuation of a story? Okay? They can be given a story which is not complete and they can be asked to complete that story. Okay? It can be another writing activity where the teacher will give limits on his or her own choice. Okay? And the teacher can also instruct in various ways. Then comparing. In comparing, they can write about the similarities or differences between things. Okay? The teacher can choose the topic, write the similarities between this and that, or write the differences between this and that. Okay? And the teacher can instruct how they're going to compare. And then another interesting task can be surveys or interviews. They can do surveys in the beginning, and then they can, while they're doing the survey, they can write interview questions, they can take the interview, and they can keep writing. And then after that, you can tell them to write a report on it. What about personal story? The teacher can ask them to write a personal story, an incident that they have experienced in the past. Another interesting activity can be making advertisements. Student can make advertisement on their own. They can choose their own wordings. They can decide the topic of the advertisement, and they can keep writing on it. Before you write, what should you do? You have to plan and pre-write. That means you can make a rough. And before making a rough, you have to plan in your mind. Okay? That means you have to decide what you should write first, what you should write second, and overall, how will be the beginning and how will be the ending. Okay? So when you are writing or when you are planning, ask these questions to yourself. Is my writing understood in a clear, specific way using good grammar, spelling, and correct English? Are you using the correct grammar? Are you using the correct spelling or the correct language? And then ask yourself, how can I put the different parts of my writing together in the best way? Have you maintained a correct serial? Have you put the first things first and the second things second? Did you make sure of coherence and unity in your writing? Then you can ask yourself, in what way can I arrange the different parts in a way that is going to be logical and make sense to the reader? So, does your writing make sense enough? Is it logical? Is it interesting for the reader to read? And then you can ask yourself this, what is my main idea? That means, what is the main theme of your topic? Okay, what is the main theme of your writing? Does it have a good theme? Is the idea understood by your readers? How can I develop points and progress step by step to prove and support my main idea? After you have decided on your main idea, how are you going to progress it? Have you used transition words? Is it coherent enough? Is there a good flow? Then, what are the sub-ideas or subtopics that I want to discuss and explore? Are there any sub-ideas after your main ideas? Have you given enough ideas to your readers? Have you given them something to think about? And have you discussed it well? Have you explored through your discussion? After you have finished writing, have you revised? Okay, so what should you revise for? You should make sure that you have made the correct spelling, because if your spelling is not correct, what will happen? It will give a wrong impression to your readers, right? And if it is in your exam, you might lose marks for wrong spelling. So always make sure that you have revised. What about the other things? Other than spelling, make sure that your grammar is also correct. What about language? Have you written in a good language, or have you made a mixture of languages? Make sure that there are no mixture of languages. Okay? And also make sure that you haven't used chat room languages. In your formal writing, your language must be clear and correct. Okay? No mixtures. What about capitalization? This is a very common confusion in your exam papers. That means we have to know where we should use capital letters. For example, in the beginning of the sentences, we should use capital letters. When we are writing I, or when we are writing proper nouns, we should make sure that the words are written in capital letters in the beginning of the word. And punctuations, okay? Many students also make mistakes on punctuations. For example, question mark, comma, semicolon, where should they be placed? Okay? Suppose when we are writing a question, when we are writing an interrogative sentence, we should use question marks. Okay? And some students make the mistake of writing full stop. So you should be aware of your punctuation marks too. And what about in exclamatory sentences? You're supposed to use exclamation marks. And when you are pausing in the middle of the sentence, you are supposed to use comma. Okay? Always be aware of these simple mistakes, and punctuation is one of them. What about sentence structure? Is your sentence structure correct, or is there any grammatical error in your sentence? Okay? So make sure that you have revised well for a better writing. I have already mentioned that these tips are for the students who want to improve in writing activity. Okay? If you want to improve your writing skills, you can use these tips, and I hope these tips will be helpful for you if you want to practice at home. Okay? And also for teachers, those who are willing to improve their students in writing, they can give these activities in class too. So hope to meet you next time with more tips on English language and more tips on how you can improve your language skills. That's all for today, and hope to meet you soon in our English language class once again. And we're going to bring you better tips on how to improve your language skills. Thank you and take care.